Hello again. So I thought I would make a third part to my little strawberry series and talk to you about the frame that we have made for our bed. And this is a square foot garden, raised bed, strawberry bed. And if you're doing this type of garden bed and you have a lot of animals around, it might be in your best interest to make a frame like this. And we have a lot of squirrels and birds and everything else, and squirrels like to dig in it, and of course when the berries come the birds will want it. And so I wanted to make this frame and cover it with bird netting, and the construction is pretty simple, and it's going to be fully dependent on the size of your raised bed. So whatever size your raised bed is, this one's 4 by 4, that those same measurements that you took for your boards are going to be the ones you use for your horizontal pieces on your frame. Now it can be as tall as you want it to be, and I chose to make mine taller than the strawberries were going to be because I grow onions in here too, and I wanted to make sure to have that extra height there so that the onions could grow as tall as they wanted to. So I think this is 15 inches tall right here, but it's just a very simple construction. This is your vertical member, and it's joined right there with your horizontals, and it's really close. So on this part, the 1 by 2, these are all 1 by 2s by the way, sorry. The 1 by 2 is flush with the outside of the bed on 2 sides, and then on the other 2 sides it is flush onto the inside of the bed, because this is a 2 by and this is a 1 by, so you can see that there's a space there, and then right there it's to the outside here. So that's just going to be how it ends up when you're making it. And if you've made your raised beds by yourself, then the frame will be really easy for you to make. And when you're making your raised beds, you know, if you're planning on growing strawberries in there and you know the plan and you know you're going to put a frame on it, then when you're putting your corner posts onto the inside of the raised bed, just cut them longer than you need them, because they actually come in very handy to keep this frame in place. So there's no amount of wind, even a tornado, well, maybe not a tornado, I don't know, but even very, very strong storms will not blow this frame off. It's not the most sturdy, but because these posts are here, it's not going anywhere. It is never going to slide off or be wonky on me or anything. Now it is kind of hard to put it back on, and I do need help putting the frame back on, but I can get it off by myself. But when you go to put it back on, you have to, you know, be very exact to line up your 4 corners, obviously. And so it does take 2 people to put it back on. So, like I said, the verticals are however long you want it to be. The horizontals are as long as your bed, and then in the center on the top you're going to want to put 1 horizontal going across the top right there, and that is obviously so the bird netting doesn't droop, okay? But you don't need necessarily a vertical there unless you want to put one there. Obviously you could do that, but and it would be stronger. That would actually sturdy this up. So if you want it to be sturdier than mine, then you would put a vertical from here to here. And then what you want to do is take your bird netting and make sure you have way more than you need. You know, don't be chintzy or cheap or anything like that, because it's not square. This stuff is really hard to work with. It's not square, and it will frustrate you till the end of the day if you try to be cheap with it. So I would definitely advise just using way more than you need and throw it over the top of your frame. Make sure it's going down all 4 sides. Make sure it's way more than you need, because you can always cut off the excess. But once you've started stapling on 2 sides and you get to the other side and you find that it's short, you can't put it back. You've just totally wasted your time. So make sure that you have more than you need, and then lay it over the top, and then once you know that you have more than enough on all 4 sides, take your staple gun and come down to the center of your first board and start stapling it all the way down, okay? And then down that way. And then go to your opposite side, and then you don't have to staple it to the top. There's really no reason to do that. And right here, you don't have to staple it to the top of this board either. Right here is where it's most important. So when you've done that side, come over to this side, put your staple in the center, and then start working your way out. And then you're going to do the same thing over there, and then come over to this side. And then when you're done doing that, you are going to have this flap of extra bird netting right here. And it's just going to be a corner piece that's like coming down at a triangular angle or whatever. And rather than trying to cut it off and do whatever, I definitely would not cut it. This stuff is so hard to work with. So what I did was I took that extra piece and I flattened it, and then I rolled it into a little tiny roll, like a jelly roll, okay? And then I started at the top, and I just held the rolled bird netting right up to this piece, and I started at the top and started stapling all the way down. There's one there, there. I had to turn the stapler upside down and get that one because it's really close to the bottom, and you want to make sure you get it close to the bottom. And then take your excess off to the side and staple one more time, and then whatever's left off, you just cut that off. And then when you're going through, after you've gone through and stapled everything, then you can go through and trim off excess if needed. Okay? You don't definitely trim it afterwards. After everything's stapled down and you have it just the way you want it, then you go in and trim off any excess. Okay, I think that was it. We just used standard screws to put it together. Like I said, this is not the sturdiest construction. We had a lot going on, but it's not going to slide off because we left those 2x4s tall, so it's not going to go anywhere. And I just wanted to mention, like, if strawberries don't like tons and tons and tons of rain, so if you expect it to rain and rain and rain, then you can use this frame as a base to put other things on. You can put plastic over the top and clamp it to your frame so that if it's downpouring for a week and they've just had enough, you can protect them from excess rain. If for some reason they're getting too much sun, you could lay burlap over the top and again clamp it to the sides of the frame. If you had to, you could put insect netting over this whole thing, but then you would want to take the insect netting down the sides and everything. You wouldn't have to do that necessarily with the plastic or the burlap, but if you were doing insect netting for the purpose of keeping insects off, then obviously you would need to have a piece big enough to go down all four sides and everything, and you would need to find a way to anchor it to the frame so that none of the little buggies got in there. Okay, is there anything else? I don't know, you tell me. No, I think that was it. Pretty basic construction. Keeps the birds out, keeps the squirrels out, lets the bees in. It does pretty much what I need it to do. And if you're trying to take it off by yourself, just take it right here in the center, put your fingers through the bird netting, and pull straight up. You have to pull straight up because those 2x4s are really good at what they do, and so it's kind of hard to take it off with one person, but you just take it under there and pull straight up and then set it off to the side. But then when you go to put it back on, you're going to need two people, one on this side, one on this side, and you'll just have to very carefully line up all the corners and make sure all the corners are lined up first and then start to lower it. Don't get that corner on and that corner on and that one on and that one's off, because and then start sinking that one down, because if they're not all lined up first, then you'll have one corner that won't ever want to go on. So make sure they're all lined up and then start slowly lowering the frame, and make sure that you don't get any of your plants caught in there. You might have to guide them in, push them in, this strawberry leaf tried to be trapped under the frame the last time we put it on, and the onions always flop out, so kind of make sure that you're pushing them in. It might be helpful to have a third person even, like a little kid or something, going through and pushing your plants in so that they don't get trapped under the frame. Okay, I think that's it. Let me know if you have any questions. See ya.